We're explaining how to resolve a 500 internal server error when connecting your Angular frontend to an Azure database using ASP.NET Core. This error usually means something went wrong on the server side, not necessarily in your Angular code. Let's troubleshoot this systematically. 1. Verify database connection. First, ensure your ASP.NET Core application can successfully connect to the Azure database. Check your connection string in your app settings JSON file or wherever you store it. Make sure the server address, database name, username, and password are all correct. Test the connection independently using a tool like SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS, or Azure Data Studio. If you can't connect using these tools, the problem lies with your database configuration, not your Angular or ASP.NET Core code. Fix the connection string errors first. 2. Examine ASP.NET Core logs. ASP.NET Core generates detailed logs that will give crucial clues. Check these logs to identify the exact error message associated with the 500 error. Look for exceptions, stack traces, and any other relevant information. These logs might indicate problems with database queries, e.g. an incorrect SQL syntax, missing permissions, issues with your application's data access logic, or even server-side resource limitations. Common errors include connection timeouts, permission issues, or problems with specific database operations. 3. Check database permissions. Your ASP.NET Core application's database user needs the appropriate permissions to perform the actions it's trying to do. Select, insert, update, delete. Check the user's permissions in your Azure SQL database. Grant any missing permissions and restart your application to test the changes. 4. Review your ASP.NET Core API. Controllers. Carefully examine the code in your ASP.NET Core controllers that handle requests from your Angular frontend. This involves checking the database query logic, input validation, exception handling, and data sanitization to catch potential errors. Unhandled exceptions in your controllers can easily trigger a 500 error. Implement robust error handling, using try-catch blocks to handle potential exceptions gracefully and return informative error messages instead of a generic 500 error to your Angular app. Consider logging exceptions details to help during debugging. 5. Debug your ASP.NET Core API. Use a debugger to step through your ASP.NET Core code line by line. This helps pinpoint the exact location where the error occurs. Set breakpoints in your controllers to understand the flow of data and where exceptions might arise. 6. Angular error handling. While the 500 error originates on the server, your Angular application needs proper error handling to display informative messages to the user. Don't just display the raw 500 error. Use Angular's HTTP client's error handling mechanisms, e.g., catch error, to intercept HTTP errors and provide user-friendly messages based on the server's response, if any, or a generic message like, "Something went wrong. Please try again later." 7. Azure SQL Database limits. Ensure that your Azure SQL database is appropriately sized for your application's needs. Resource limitations, like CPU, memory, or storage, can also lead to 500 errors. Consider scaling your database if necessary. 8. Restart your application and database. Sometimes, a simple restart of your ASP.NET Core application, and even the Azure SQL database itself, can resolve temporary glitches. 9. Check for updates and patches. Ensure your ASP.NET Core, Azure SQL database, and any related libraries are up to date with the latest security patches and bug fixes, which can resolve known issues. By systematically addressing these points, you should be able to pinpoint and solve the root cause of the 500 internal server error and establish a stable connection between your Angular and ASP.NET Core application using the Azure Database.